In today's video, I'll be revealing the exact age when 1 million stops being enough for retirement and how your retirement timing determines whether this milestone provides security or leaves you struggling financially. Through working with hundreds of clients at different retirement ages, I've discovered that $1 million can either provide 15 years or possibly 30 years of retirement income, depending on when you stop working and how you manage those all important withdrawals each and every year. That's exactly why I'm making this video for you today, to show you the exact age when $1 million fails to provide retirement security and how longevity and inflation destroy this $1 million myth, and what you need to do to calculate based upon your specific age to know how much you need to make your retirement actually work. Let me break this down for you today, section by section, and help you see exactly how retirement success is about timing, strategy, and reliable income. This isn't just theory, it's a strategy built from working with real families navigating real retirement risk. Many people chase a specific dollar amount as their retirement goal. But what matters more is what that money does for you. It's just a number. And that's the problem with retirement myths. They sound reassuring, but they fail to match today's retirement realities that you're facing. That's why we're going to go deep inside of this video today. Not just to challenge the myths, but to give you a blueprint for financial clarity. Most people still think that $1 million is the magic number for retirement. But where did this idea come from? And why is it so dangerously outdated? The $1 million target became popular decades ago, when life expectancies were shorter and retirement only lasted maybe 10 to 15 years. It was based on the 4% withdrawal rule, which assumes that you can steadily withdraw 4% annually from your portfolio, meaning that you'd need 25 times your yearly expenses saved to meet these factors. Back then, expenses were lower, housing was cheaper, and healthcare wasn't such a heavy burden. But fast forward to today, real-world investor research says that Americans need over $1.1 million more than they thought just to retire comfortably for 20 short years. The magic number for retirement crossed 1 million back in 2021, and that was up from 950,000 the year before. Your retirement is anything and should be anything but average. 8 out of 10 adults say their vision for their retirement is nothing like their parents'. Nearly 1/3 expect their retirement to last more than 10 years longer than their parents'. A 65-year-old today, in fact, they have a 50% chance of living into their 90s. With just 2% inflation, that $1 million shrinks to $552,000 in 30 years. At 3%, that number drops to $411,000, and at 4%, it's down to $308,000 in that time frame. This doesn't even account for rising taxes or long-term care expenses. Let's just consider the cost of long-term care, dental work, home modifications. All of these things, they're not luxuries, they're realities, and they're not in your average budget. And here's the deeper issue. $1 million gives people a false sense of security is what I found. It's a headline number, not a strategy. It's why retirees with that amount still find themselves scaling back, delaying travel, or even going back to work part-time. To fix this, you need to build your plan not on a magic number, but on reliable income strategies that adjust for inflation, account for healthcare shocks, and that match your lifestyle expectations that you've developed for your retirement. A real financial planner should ask you, how much income will you need? Where will it come from? And how will taxes and inflation affect this number? And most importantly, how long must this income last? Once you begin answering these questions, the $1 million myth, it dissolves, and far more effective and customized approaches begin emerging. This is what we do inside of our Red Zone retirement plan. Let me dive now into how timing plays an even bigger role than your savings for your future retirement. Here's the truth. When you retire has a much larger impact than how much you've saved. So let's just compare retiring at 55 versus 65. So let's say you do retire at 55. Your $1 million, it has to stretch for 35 to even 40 years. There's no Social Security to help you until 62 at the earliest. This means that your savings, they're carrying 100% of the load in that early retirement. Add in healthcare cost without Medicare until 65, private insurance can cost you hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars a month. Multiply that by a decade and suddenly your retirement starts with a massive drag on your resources from these withdrawals. That might mean your dream retirement lasts less than a decade. Ouch. Now compare that to retiring at 65. If you were to retire at 65, Social Security is around $2,000 a month on average at that time. This reduces pressure from your portfolio distributions that you have to do by the time they're 65. Health insurance becomes more affordable through Medicare and Medicare supplement plans. Delaying Social Security until 70 can increase your benefit by up to 132%. That's a powerful form of guaranteed income that protects your longevity for your life and your spouse's entire life as well. Bottom line here, retiring too early turns $1 million into a ticking time bomb. Timing creates more leverage for you than almost any financial product that's out there. Do you want to stretch that $1 million even more? Adjust your retirement age. The difference isn't just a few years. It's tens of thousands in additional cost or savings for you. And here's a little known fact. The majority of retirement satisfaction is driven by financial flexibility, the ability to time your withdrawals strategically, claim Social Security wisely, and delay major expenses has more power for you in retirement than a bigger balance sheet. Every year of delaying can reduce the stress on your investment portfolio and open the door to greater long-term financial confidence. For some, it's the difference between barely making it and truly thriving in retirement. Let's talk about this 4% rule. In theory, 4% of $1 million gives you 40 grand a year. But that assumes low inflation, steady markets, and no surprises. Healthcare costs in the US on average have grown around 5% per year. The 4% rule also assumes rigid spending, even in market downturns. But early market losses can devastate your portfolio. This is a risk known as sequence of returns risk. This is exactly why I help clients build dynamic plans. Retirement isn't a straight line. It needs guardrails and not rigid formulas. Through our Red Zone retirement planning process, we bulletproof our clients' retirement from some of these risks, such as sequence of returns risk and long-term care risk. If you're withdrawing from pre-tax retirement accounts, that $40,000, it could shrink even more. After taxes, you might end up with maybe closer to $32,000, for example. Now let's layer in volatility. A bear market early in retirement can force you to sell investments at a loss just to generate the income that you need. Doing this accelerates your portfolio depletion. Unexpected home and auto repairs as well can be a big one that eats into that income every month. In places like LA, for example, even basic costs like groceries, utilities, and transportation can eat into that within a few short months. The 4% rule assumes you'll stop spending or dreaming about your future. But life doesn't stop at 65. To protect against all of these flaws, you need a flexible withdrawal strategy that adjusts to markets, inflation, and your active lifestyle when you're early in your go-go years. So now that you understand why the 4% rule and the $1 million target are going to fail you in retirement, I want you to fill out the questionnaire in the description below, and I'll personally send you a video analyzing your specific retirement situation and show you how you can optimize your plan to battle against these two things. Inflation and longevity are a 1-2 punch to your retirement plan. Inflation is the slow erosion of your money's purchasing power. Over time, the cost of everything goes up. Groceries, medical care, utilities, housing, you name it, nothing stays. If inflation on average is 4%, $1 million today, like I said, it's only $308,000 in 30 years. That's a devastating loss of your purchasing power over time. And if you're planning for a long retirement, trust me, you're going to feel every bit of it. People today are living longer than ever. That's a blessing, yes, but it's also a financial challenge that emerges from that. Now can stretch 30 to 40 years. That's decades of rising cost eating away at your savings. The real danger is retiring during high inflation years. If inflation is high early in your retirement, your expenses skyrocket before your investments can even catch up. It's like dry rot. It slowly is weakening your foundation until it eventually collapses. The Red Zone Retirement Plan dives deep into this. I show clients exactly how to protect themselves from inflation's corrosive effects. You can't stop inflation, but you can outpace it if you're strategic. That means investing for growth, laddering your income sources, and creating plans that adjust. Now, let's break down one of the biggest misunderstandings in retirement planning, the difference between assets and income. Retirement isn't about how much money you have. It's about how much income that money can produce consistently, safely, and for your entire life. People focus so much on hitting this magic number, like $1 million, for example, that they ignore how to turn that number into income. But assets are not income. You can't spend your portfolio value. You can only spend your income. A $1 million portfolio can look really strong on paper, but if it only produces $30,000 to $40,000 a year in income and you need $60,000 to live on, that's a big shortfall. That nest egg begins to shrink. Taxes, fees, and market losses chip away at that, and suddenly what looked like a wealth building tool becomes a liability. But retirement is about decumulation, turning what you've built into reliable paychecks for you to spend in your retirement. If you don't understand this, your timing and lifestyle decisions could sabotage your entire retirement. The Red Zone Retirement Plan was designed specifically to address this confusion. I show clients how to shift the focus from how much do I have to how much can I spend safely for the next 30 years. Let's now walk through how to make this happen with my step-by-step strategy. To build a successful retirement, you need to map out income to the actual lifestyle that you want to live. So what I want you to do is to start with your fixed income to cover your fixed expenses. So this is things like Social Security, pensions, annuities, and dividend income. Those are things that I consider fixed income to you inside of your retirement plan. And what you want to do is get these fixed income sources to cover the fixed needs that you have in retirement, such as housing, healthcare, insurance, and food. Fixed income covers fixed needs. Next, we use the variable income that you have from your investment sources, rental properties, or even part-time work. We use that variable income to cover the wants that you have, such as travel, hobbies, leisure, any activities that you're going to want to do in retirement, including gifts as well. Also, it's very essential that we plan for different phases that you're going to have in retirement. I break these down into 3 different and distinct phases that you have. The go-go years, which is in your mid-60s and your mid-70s, and then the slow-go years in your mid-70s and 80s, and lastly, your no-go years, which is the last phase of your life, in your mid to late 80s and into your 90s. What we do is we strategically allocate the investments that you have based upon the time frame that you're going to spend them and how much money you're going to need to spend during these times as well. So the money that we're investing for your go-go years right away in your retirement is conservative. It has guarantees around it so that if there is a downturn in the stock market, it does not affect your income during these go-go years. The money that we invest for your slow-go years, that's in a moderate portfolio. I like to put these in buffered accounts so that if there is a large market downturn, that you don't lose all of that inside of that market downturn. These slow-go funds aren't going to be touched ideally for at least 10 plus years, so we have to have some growth from equities in them as well. Lastly, the money for your no-go years, this is money that is not going to be spent for over 20 years. And so we have to have this invested in equities for long-term growth. Each bucket should match your time horizon, the risk level that you have, and the spending needs that you're going to be using them for. You should also stress test your plan, run simulations, adjust it for inflation, market drops, and of course, don't forget to plan for your longevity. So to recap this for you, get your fixed income to cover your fixed expenses in retirement. Use variable income to cover the variable expenses that you're going to have in retirement. And don't forget about the go-go years, the slow-go years, and the no-go years. You should strategically invest those dollars that are spent during that time frame based upon the risk tolerance that you have and the time before you're going to access the fund. I want you now to fill out the questionnaire in the description below. Once you do that, I'll walk you through this personal plan for you through our Red Zone retirement planning process and how to calculate the right time for your exact situation to retire. You should be able to make an informed decision about how and when you can effectively retire, working with me and my team on your overall retirement strategy. I'll see you on the next one.
Investing involves risk, including loss of principal. Be sure to understand the benefits and limitations of your available options, and consider all factors prior to making any financial decisions. Any strategies discussed may not be suitable for everyone. Securities and advisory services offered through Mutual of Omaha Investor Services, Incurs, member, FINRA, SIPC, Adam Olson, representative. Mutual of Omaha Investor Services is not affiliated with any entity listed herein. This podcast is for educational purposes only and may include references to concepts that have legal and/or tax implications. Mutual of Omaha, Investor Services, and its representatives do not offer legal or tax advice. The information presented is subject to change without notice and is not intended as an offer or solicitation with respect to the purchase or sale of any security or insurance product. Mutual of Omaha Investor Services and its various affiliates do not endorse or adopt comments posted by third parties. Comments posted by third parties are their own and may not be representative or indicative of others' opinions, views, and experiences.